For 12 years, I thought I had everything a man could want. A wife who laughed at my dumbest jokes. Mornings filled with quiet coffee and gentle touches. Evenings spent on the couch, her head on my chest, like a ritual we never questioned. We were that couple people called solid. Dependable. The kind you envy but don't talk about because they make it look too easy. There was no storm. No betrayal. No distant silence. Just consistency. And in that consistency, I felt safe. Until one evening, after dinner, as I was rinsing our plates, she said it. Casually. Like it was just another thought floating through her mind. What would you think about opening the marriage? The words didn't register at first. I assumed I misheard. I turned to her, half laughing. Opening? What? She smiled faintly. Almost too calmly. The marriage. Not seriously. Just a conversation. My hands were still wet from the dishes. But my chest went dry. This wasn't my wife. Or maybe, this was her. And I'd missed it all along. The woman I trusted with my future was now asking no, suggesting that we invite other people into what I thought was sacred. A dozen years of fidelity, loyalty, monogamy, all called into question, with one breath. I asked her if someone put her up to this. She said no. I asked her if someone else was already in the picture. She said absolutely not. I just want to be honest about my thoughts. I read things. I hear about couples who grow even closer after exploring this. I'm not saying we should, I just wanted to talk. But just wanting to talk about this was enough to rip open something inside me. I tried to play it cool. I said I needed time to think. She nodded, told me she loved me, that nothing had to change if I didn't want it to. But everything had already changed. A wife who wants an open marriage is already halfway out the door, even if she doesn't realize it yet. And me? I stood in that kitchen, surrounded by the hum of the dishwasher and the clinking of silverware, wondering how the hell we got here. Because nothing kills a marriage faster than the quiet suggestion that maybe it's not enough. I didn't say yes right away. In fact, I didn't say anything at all for 3 days. She gave me space. Kept things normal. Made breakfast like usual. Kissed me on the cheek before work. No pressure. No pushing. But the silence between us? It wasn't the kind that brings comfort. It was the kind that rots you from the inside out. I couldn't stop replaying it. Her tone, her timing, the way she looked almost relieved just to put the idea out there. I kept wondering, had she already decided to leave me if I said no? Was this her way of easing into a breakup? Or worse, had she already cheated and wanted to retroactively make it feel less wrong? I spiraled. And finally, out of fear, not desire, I told her. Okay, we can try it. Just to see what happens. She smiled. A soft, grateful smile. But behind her eyes, something shifted. That night, I lay awake while she slept next to me, peacefully, like she always did. Meanwhile, I felt like I had handed over the keys to everything I cared about, and she didn't even realize what I'd given up. I wasn't doing this for fun. I wasn't excited. I wasn't curious. I was terrified. Of losing her. Of being the boring husband who didn't evolve. Of waking up one day to find out I wasn't enough and never had been. The next few weeks felt surreal. She created a profile. Started texting strangers. Going on casual dates. All while assuring me I could do the same if I wanted. But I didn't want a. I wanted her. And now I had to watch as she dressed up for other men, while telling me it meant nothing. She came home late. Said it was just dinner. Or a walk to talk. Or nothing happened. But something was always happening. I felt it every time she walked in the door smiling. Smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. This wasn't marriage. This was slow emotional torture. And I had agreed to it, thinking it would keep us together. Instead, it was unraveling everything we had, one quiet night at a time. I thought I could handle it. I told myself it was modern, mature. That if I loved her, I had to trust her. Even when she walked out of the house wearing perfume she hadn't worn in years. Even when she came home glowing, saying it was just dinner. I played the part. Nodded, smiled, said okay. But inside, I was unraveling. Every ding of her phone felt like a loaded gun pressed to the back of my neck. Every laugh that wasn't meant for me twisted the knife a little deeper. I didn't want to check her messages. I didn't want to be that husband. But pain does something to your boundaries. It erodes them, silently, over time, until one day, you're standing in the hallway, her phone charging on the kitchen counter, and your hand just moves. She had left her screen unlocked. Maybe on purpose. Maybe by accident. Either way, I read the message that ended it all. Can't stop thinking about you last night. Your body. Your sounds. I keep hearing them. I stood frozen. Reading it again. And again. Each word burned hotter than the last. It was sent at 1:14 a.m. She had crawled into bed with me at 1:30. And now, every kiss she gave me felt infected. Every "I love you" was a lie reheated in the microwave of guilt. I didn't confront her. Not immediately. I closed the app, put the phone back. Sat on the couch and waited, not for her, but for the reality to sink in. This wasn't exploration. This wasn't curiosity. This was betrayal. She wasn't testing our bond. She was building a new one, somewhere else. With someone else. When she came into the room, smiling, talking about her night, I nodded along. But I wasn't listening. Because something inside me had shattered. Not with a bang, but with a whisper typed at 1:14 a.m. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't losing her. I had already lost her. I couldn't hold it in any longer. 3 days passed since I saw the message, 3 days of pretending, of faking normalcy, of lying beside her with my back turned, trying to breathe through the sharp edges of betrayal. But silence is its own kind of violence. So on the third night, I waited for her to come home. She stepped inside like nothing was wrong, humming, smiling, smelling like another world I no longer belonged to. And I said it, flat and calm. "Who's Matthew?" Her smile dropped so fast it was almost cinematic. "What? Your message history says more than your lips ever did." She froze. Not like she was guilty. But like she'd been caught mid-leap and didn't know where to land. "You read my messages?" I almost laughed. "That's what you're upset about? Not the fact that you were sleeping with someone while I was sitting here every night convincing myself I wasn't enough." She looked away, and right there, in that quiet shift of her eyes, I got my answer. "It wasn't supposed to be like that," she whispered. "Like what? Physical? Secretive? Real?" She sat down across from me. And for the first time in months, she looked at me, really looked. There was no anger in her face. No denial. No tears. Just a strange, hollow tiredness. I didn't go looking for anything. But when I found it, I didn't stop. Because it felt good to be wanted. To feel alive. I didn't realize how numb I'd gotten with us. The words hit harder than the affair. Because this wasn't just about lust. This was about her not needing me anymore. Not the way she used to. "You said we could try this," she added. "You said you were okay." I said yes, so I wouldn't lose you. "But you were already gone, weren't you?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Because in that silence, everything I feared was confirmed. She hadn't asked for an open marriage to explore. She asked for it to exit quietly, gracefully, without saying the words out loud. And now here we were. Two people at the edge of something we used to call love. Staring at each other not with anger, but with the dull sadness of a house after all the lights have been turned off. I didn't pack a bag. Didn't grab a toothbrush. Didn't even take my charger. I just stood up and walked out the front door. She didn't follow. She didn't call my name. And maybe that's what hurt the most, the ease with which she let me go. 12 years. 12 birthdays. 12 winters and summers and shared Sunday mornings. And it ended without a slam, without a scream, just a door quietly closing behind me. I drove aimlessly for an hour. Past neighborhoods I didn't recognize, past lives I didn't belong to. Eventually, I parked at a 24-hour diner, the kind with flickering neon and tired waitresses. I ordered coffee I didn't want. Stared at my phone, waiting for her to text. She didn't. I thought I would feel anger. But all I felt was emptiness. Like I had been erased. Not by force, but by forgetting. Over the next week, I stayed in a hotel. A small one, cheap, with paper-thin walls and a view of nothing. Every morning, I expected the sting to fade. It didn't. But what surprised me more was that it wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the realization that I had allowed it. Enabled it. Watched our marriage unravel thread by thread, and did nothing, because I was too afraid to rock the boat. I had become passive in my own life. A background character in a story I helped build. On the 8th day, she called. Not to apologize. Not to beg. Just to talk. "You okay?" she asked. I said yes. It was a lie. "I think we both knew this was coming," she added. She was right. But knowing something's coming doesn't make it hurt less. "I'm not angry," I said. "Me neither," she replied. "Just sad." "Yeah," she whispered. "Me too." And that was it. 12 years. Reduced to a quiet phone call. Two people acknowledging the end without ever really saying goodbye. I don't know what comes next. Maybe healing. Maybe bitterness. Maybe both. But one thing I do know. Sometimes, the biggest betrayal isn't what someone does to you. It's what they stop fighting for.